Well, that's kind of a vague question because that's kind of everything, so hard to answer. But I'm going to say I'm interested in it, cynical but interested.
I don't believe of none of the what the politicians actually say.
I feel there's not enough change in it. We can vote, we can change things, but any vote other than the main two parties is a vote of no confidence. The list doesn't prove effective.
I think that although there are some flaws in the system, we are very lucky. We have a democracy that works, it gets voices heard, and it gets people engaged, and it helps us to know what's happening and to be able to hold politicians accountable when they don't do what they promise.
So I think politics does have a lot of power and influence over our lives, and I think it is much better to engage with it rather than shun it.
I think politics more in the 21st century has evolved and has generated that scene, that spree, where people want to speak out, people want to understand what the problems of the country or the demographic area faces, thereby assuming offices to actually solve such problems.
I'll definitely be voting at 18. I'm 18 4 days before the election, and I'm definitely voting for it because I want to make a change and make a difference.
Yeah, I've been voting already because I'm above 18.
When I'm 18, I will be voting because I feel like it's important for young people to get their voices heard, because young people are the most vulnerable in society, and we're supposed to be protected, and vulnerable people are supposed to be the ones that are protected. And if we don't get our vote and if we don't use our vote, then we won't be able to have our voices heard or listened to.
Would I be voting when I'm 18? Well, I'm currently 16 and I think I have the capacity to vote now, however I can't. So when I'm 18 I will be voting, and I cannot wait to have my voice heard officially with a vote. Why or why not vote? Well, I'd always say vote because people have died for a vote in the past. Emmeline Pankhurst, for example, the suffragette. And people didn't have the vote that now they do, and it's very important that we exercise this right to show people that we do care. I can understand that people may not think that any of the parties adequately represent them, but then I'd say go to the ballot box and say none of the above, because that shows people that you do care, but you don't think that any of the people running are acceptable.
I'm already 18, but I will not be voting because I don't know much about it.
Yeah, I'll be voting. For what and how is another question, but yeah. And why? Because I want to have an effect of some sort.
Yes, I will be voting this year.
I will be voting. I was 16, I think, back in 2010 when the last general election was, and I've since voted in a number of local elections, last year's European elections for the members of the European Parliament. So now that I'm 21, I will be definitely voting on May 7th, and I've just got my polling card this weekend.
Yeah, it counts in a way because in terms of democracy, one vote can make a very big difference. So that's why sometimes it's very important to turn on and cast your vote.
I do think my vote will count, and it's the idea that if I believe that my vote didn't count and everybody believes their vote didn't count, then no one's vote will count because no one will make a right decision. But I think if I do go out of my way to make my vote, and so does everybody else does, then our vote will count.
No, I don't. Because I don't think my voice will be heard.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, even if there's a large gap in like how democratic the country may be, it's better to look like you're doing something than doing nothing at all, like fading into apathy, which kind of causes a lot of stuff.
I've never voted before, but I do realise after following up on politics and watching it on TV and reading about it, I do understand now how important it is to vote. So this will be my first time voting.
Do I think my vote counts? I think my vote in the future will count for millions, because I know that a vote can change everything. It can change completely the way that politics is enforced and implemented in society, and that can have a big impact on the daily life of people across the nation.
I very much hope that my vote does count in society. I think even though it is just one individual vote, it will cast a say on at least who I want to represent me. And I think that is in many ways a very powerful and empowering aspect when going out to vote for our chosen political parties, or indeed none at all. If we choose to spoil our ballot, that is still a legitimate protest.
I'm still not 100% sure on what party I'll be voting for, but hopefully over the next few days I will have an informed decision by listening to the debates, attending this event today. I'm hoping that will help me to decide.
In terms of the difference between both of the parties, I think there is a huge ideological difference, but in terms of both the parties, the way they go about making their policies is pretty much the same, and their ideas are the same, and it's just the fact that they both believe in two different opposing views in terms of being laid back on government and being small on government or big on government, especially considering both of them haven't done anything for votes at 16. I don't think there's a difference in terms of that for me personally.
Do you have any thoughts about any other parties? Apart from the fact that I don't agree with any of them, really. Yeah, not really any. I mean, I don't agree with any of them, but that might be because I have a pretty left views.
I don't feel there's any party which truly represents all of my ideals, however I feel that Labour Party represents a good portion of what I want.
Well, I prefer to stay impartial to a certain extent because I think that allows for a fruitful debate. But I think that because we practice so much consensus politics nowadays, the parties and their ideas have become very similar, and I think we need to encourage them to have more of an array of ideas and ways that they want to put things forward.
I think 16-year-olds should be allowed to vote because there's some 16-year-olds that are ready to vote and ready to make a change and for their views to be heard, but there are others that actually don't care and wouldn't really be bothered about voting even at the age of 17. We saw in the referendum that actually having younger students vote actually helps and actually makes a difference because they had their voices heard and everyone came out and voted for that. And I think if we give 16-year-olds a chance to vote, they'll make a change. However, how much politics do they know? How much about policies and government and parents and what elections and democracies do they know about? So if they're taught stuff at school and they have perhaps research what actually voting does and what would happen if their vote counts and makes a change, then yeah, I think why not give 16-year-olds a chance to vote?
I think it's really important that young people get the opportunity to vote as well as everybody voting, because without a vote you don't have your chance to make a change.
If anything, I hope this actually got people talking about politics more, but that's all I really do most of the time. So, yeah.
And anything else to add? Well, I'd encourage you all to vote because I think it's so important. It gives you that power to make that change.
Thank you.